Well, now that we know how to do a boneless piece of chicken, now we're going to talk about how to cook it with the bone in it.
Yeah, that can be a little bit intimidating for some people, but it's so easy. And that bone in the chicken adds a tremendous amount of flavor. So don't be afraid, go for it.
So what we're going to do now is we're going to cook some chicken thighs. And when you buy a package at the store, you'll get either 5 or 6 thighs in it. So whatever you get, you'll just go with that. And we're going to make a recipe for honey orange chicken thighs. I'm going to get some orange peel, and I need almost all of the orange that's on here for the recipe. I'm going to use about a teaspoon for the rub, and then I'll use the rest of it for a glaze. I'll tell you about that in just a minute. I'm going to mix the orange peel with some coarse salt and some freshly ground black pepper, and we're going to rub that actually underneath the skin of the chicken thighs. That adds a lot of flavor as it's cooking, and that skin really helps to hold the moisture in to the chicken while it cooks. We'll put a little on top of the skin also because that will add not only flavor but help to make the chicken look really pretty. We'll just do this for all of the pieces of chicken. The next step for this recipe is to actually brown the chicken, and we want to use the same technique that Marianne showed Virginia earlier. So I have a skillet that's preheating. Once I can tell that it's nice and hot, I can add a little bit of oil to it. I'll just coat the bottom of the pan. And then we want to cook the chicken. Now it's important, of course, that you don't crowd the chicken, the same as for the cutlets, and we want to put it with the skin side down. The big key will be to let the chicken just sit until it's browned on one side without playing around with it. So once the chicken is golden brown on one side, you can flip it over, and we're going to let it continue to cook until it's brown on the second side. Now while that chicken is browning, I'm going to go ahead and fix the glaze that we were talking about earlier. So I have the orange that I'm going to cut in half, and I'm going to use the juice of the orange in the glaze. I've already added the orange peel, and I have that mixed with some barbecue sauce, some honey, and some Dijon mustard. And we'll get the last little bit of flavor from some allspice. I'm just going to whisk this together till it's a nice smooth mixture. And then for food safety, it's always a good idea if you take the glaze or the marinade that's going to touch the uncooked meat and keep it separate from any sauce that you're serving with the cooked meat. So I'm going to take half of this, pour it aside like this. I'll reserve that for a little later. And now I'm going to take what's left and I'm going to brush that right over the top of the chicken. Now the chicken is going to finish cooking in the oven. So when you're selecting your skillet, it's really important that you pick a skillet that is oven proof. And we'll put this in, let the chicken cook until it's 165 degrees. And while that's finishing up cooking, Marianne is making a salad. Tell us what you got going over there.
Well, we're talking some whole grains. I'm making a harvest wheat berry salad. In the magazine, we have descriptions of some of the more popular grains and how to use them, so it makes it really easy. For this salad, I'm using wheat berries. Their crisp, chewy texture and sweet, nutty flavor work so well with all of the dried fruits and nuts that'll go into this salad. Now, they do need to soak overnight and cook for about an hour. So if you don't have time for that, there's no problem there. Dierbergs Deli has you covered. They have wheat berries packaged, cooked, and in just the right proportions for this salad. They have a lot of other great grains too. This salad starts with chopped celery and parsley, and I'll add in a little bit of green onion. That goes right in the bowl along with the celery and the parsley, and then for the wheat berries. Now for some dried cherries. Give that just a little toss to mix it up. And now for the dried apricots. You'll want a rough chop on these, and it makes it really easy to use a bowl and a scissors instead of a knife and a cutting board. Just make sure to coat the scissors with some nonstick spray. They'll go right in the bowl as well. And then a little vinaigrette, lemon juice, agave nectar. Finally, for a last little bit of crunch, some toasted walnuts. Now this salad is perfect for a make-ahead dish, so if you do make it ahead, make sure not to add the walnuts until the last minute because then they'll keep that nice crunchy texture. This gets mixed up and it sits for about 15 minutes or so for the flavors to really develop. And speaking of flavor, something smells pretty amazing over there. How's that chicken coming, Barb?
Okay, we said we wanted this to cook to 165 degrees. We are right on target. I'm using the instrument read thermometer again to check it, and it's finished. Take the chicken out of the skillet here. I'm going to set it aside for just a minute while I make the glaze. Okay, so we'll take the reserved glaze here. I'm going to put it into the skillet. Now, there's a lot of natural sugar in the barbecue sauce and also in the orange, and that's going to come to a boil here, and very quickly it'll start to caramelize, and the sauce that's starting out cloudy will become very nice and clear and pretty. We're getting all of those drippings, the fond from the bottom of the pan. We'll have even more of those drippings in this pan because it's a regular skillet rather than a non-stick skillet like we used for the chicken piccata. So you can see now it's nice and clear, and it's that easy to make this sauce. So we're going to put the chicken back in, and I like to take it and actually kind of roll it in the sauce so that it's coated. If you're serving this for your family, then I think it's nice to actually serve it right from the skillet. If you serve it with just a slight little garnish, I have some pieces of orange here that I can just sprinkle into the skillet. It kind of cues you to some of the flavors you're expecting.
Well, it looks like the chicken is absolutely beautiful. The salad's ready. I think we're probably ready for some dinner.
I think these two pair beautifully together, so I know you'll enjoy making them because they're so easy and delicious. So we're going to take a quick break, but when we come back, it's all about beer and pizza.